Hello, welcome back to my crafty channel. I'm Paula and we're working on a travel album, and I'm going through into the first day of our travels over in Southeast Asia. Now this was a fabulous time. We went to Singapore first, did a little stopover. Always love Singapore. It's such a lovely and easy place to get around. It's vibrant, it's got all different sorts of cultures, we've got beautiful greenery. It's just one of those places that you can just keep going back to and thoroughly enjoying. So I can't wait to put these photos together, but I do have quite a few. So how are we going to get all of these onto a double page spread? Well, come along and join me and see what I get up to with this travel page. Right, so I've got about 180 photos taken during the time I was in Singapore. Not sure quite what we took photos of, but that's a huge number. I have printed out a few just using my my personal home printer, and just to give me a sort of a little bit of a taste of some of the key places we went to. So we've got Gardens on the Bay, beautiful spot there. That's just such a well established area, and it's very good at putting through the message of being environmental and saving our planet and looking after things. We also went out to the Arab town, which was a really vibrant place. We went to Chinatown, went back to the Gardens on the Bay at night for the light show, and I've also got some snapshot photos taken. So these have got 8 photos on each sheet, just tiny little ones, just to show, you know, a whole heap more that I could place on here, whether I keep them at this size or whether I choose to print a few more bigger ones. So you can see I've got a whole array here. Now there is definitely a little bit of a gardeny theme coming through in some of these. There's definitely a city theme. It was a little wet when we were there, just a light drizzle, we could manage it. Very busy around the iconic Merlion, so we didn't really get a good photo there, but still, you know, it's something that we did. So I'm still thinking I might keep with that gorgeous range, the mixed media range. So here's some of those colours. Now remember, in the first one we used this paper and this paper together, and we created a nice little border strip for the title and just used some key photos. So that's the colour range we started with. I'm really liking the idea of pulling in a few more of these little greeneries, perhaps some of the smaller florals, some of the ones off this card. There is also the stamp set that's got some lovely florals on it that are a little bit larger if I wish to. And I'm also thinking that I quite like a bit of the green to come through. So when you look through what I've got here in this range, this particular sheet definitely stands out at me as one that's going to look quite nice with this range. I could also bring in some of that blue. It is quite a fun shade. It's kind of toning in with that. I could also bring in, if I wish to, more of the monochromatic florals. So we've just got, you know, some of the black and whites. And just looking at this, I could imagine bringing in a bit of the peachy shades here. If I pull this aside, there is a bit of pink. That doesn't quite work, but there is definitely that sort of reddy hue coming through as well. And I was wearing sort of a brown dress, so that is a possibility as well. So just having a little glance, I know that this paper is going to work for me. So I've just got to figure out a way to actually get a lot of photos onto the page in one hit. That one there is actually quite nice too, looking at the tonings of what's in all the pictures. So yes, lots to work with. Let's start to organise and get a little base going. So I'm going to start with my 2 white sheets as a base. I always do that. I sometimes swap out, sometimes don't. And I'm going to work with, I think, these 2 colours initially. So I'm kind of feeling like I'm going to be getting some form of patterned paper through the center, and I may even just get these sort of arranged so that they kind of manage to slot along in a bit of a line. I'm obviously not going to get all of them in, so I'm going to have to pick and choose, and I may do some smaller. Now I'm also thinking with these little ones, I could do like a nice little row of them along the bottom. I could also be doing a row of them along the edge as well. So there is a few options with those little ones if I want to use them all. But the first thing I'm thinking is that I might change the shape of these photos. They don't all have to be rectangle. So I have got this gorgeous die. It's called the Arches, or we can't actually see exactly what it's called because I've got so many samples in there. It's called the Everyday Arches dies, and you can cut out solid pieces, or you can put 2 of the dies together and cut out some outlines. So here's a few examples of the sort of sizes you can get. nice sort of simple little sizes. This one here is virtually as wide as the photo, so it's just going up to the almost the top and the bottom. But if I put two together, I can do a frame as well, so you could almost just put a frame onto a photo. So there's a few different choices here. So I'm going to go away and cut a couple of these photos just to try it out and see if I like the shape of these photos as arches. So here's some photos cut up. It was obviously not all of them, and I did actually start one size down in the arches so that I could cut some photo mats out of the slightly larger arches. So you can see here I've just gone with black initially. I can always switch out for some colour if I think I'm going to need it, but this is looking really nice with that lovely little border. It's giving a little bit of a pop to these photos. Let's just see what's going to work. That one's going to work for that one. And then this one's probably a bit smaller here too, I would say. I've sort of done 3 different sizes of photos, and therefore there are 3 different sized photo mats. So that's kind of a fun effect. I'm going to need obviously another bigger one for that one. So we'll need to do that one shortly. But it just gives you an idea of how that could work. Now I'm thinking I might continue on with the slightly torn theme. So I have torn the edge of this paper down here, and I think that's just going to be a nice little strip near the bottom. And then I'm going to pull in potentially some of this beautiful green solid behind the photos, so it's not too busy where the photos are. So I can have the green solid, and then I can have a little bit of this lovely patterned green below it. So I'll go away and get that sorted, and we will carry on from there. So we've got the patterned pieces in here now. It's looking quite good. I'm thinking it could be a little bit too much of the white space, but let's just lay out some of these photos, these little mini ones. If I choose to use them all, I've kind of got about enough to do a big long strip along the bottom for highlights, so that could work maybe with a little black mat. But I do wonder whether I need to bring a little bit more of this paper in, so I have just done one little sample to see. If I pull this in, I think that's going to help to make it look quite cohesive. Pull it all together, and then I can possibly put a little title up the top. Now I have got this little Singapore already cut out, but I'm thinking I may need to use a larger font here, but this just gives us a little bit of an idea of where I'm going with this, and it could be something like Singapore highlights or something fun like that. So here we are with the different extra pieces of pattern paper coming in. I have actually pulled in this pattern paper we used on the cover page as well, just for consistency, bringing it through. So that's giving us a nice little background, I guess, to all these little photos that I can put along the bottom that kind of pertain to the bigger images above them. So that's kind of working all right, and we are starting to get some shape to this layout. So the next thing I want to do is think about some embellishing, and because Singapore was such a lush place and a lot of Asia isn't lush, I do think I want to bring in some of that foliage. So I'm going to try out these. These are large images, so I'll see if they're any good. However, there are a lot of little floral images in my stash as well, so it might be that I move towards something a bit smaller. So let's have a little play with some of the embellishments and see how they can be positioned. So before I add my embellishments, I just wanted to make sure there was enough space for my journaling. So as I've kept a diary, I've got a little bit more writing than usual, so I did type it up this time, and I typed it up onto vellum. So that way it's just a soft effect sitting, and I think it sits quite nicely in that little space. So we've got enough room there just to put it all in. So looking at embellishments, I've just started looking through the pocket cards, and there is these sorts of things here, and I'm thinking this one cut could look quite nice as a little embellishment tucked away in there. We've also got ones that are actually tucked in an arch shape, so I could pull in my little arches. This one will give us a very slight little bit of black bordering. The next size down would give us no border at all, so that could be something that I can run through and just get another little spot for an embellishment down here. There is also this really fun one here that says "This is worth remembering," which could look very nice tucked away up near the top, so I'm thinking I might cut that one out as well. So, and then there's also more of them. This one here has got that nice little shape in there that I could cut out, and there's definitely a lot in the stickers as well that I could pull in and pop them on. So I think these sizes are actually going to be a bit better than the larger stamped images, so I'm going to have a little play with that and see where we go. So let me just cut some of those pieces up so we can sort them all out and lay them out. So here's what I came up with so far. So I've cut out the circle, I've cut out the arch, I've cut out that nice little piece, I've pulled in a couple of little pieces from the stickers. So there's that piece and this little stripy long piece, and then the little flower could be over there as well. So it's starting to come together really nicely. I do need to update my title. I think I'll do a larger Singapore sites or something like that. But we're on the right track, so I'll just finish all those bits off and start adhering it, some of it. It's quite exciting seeing it come together. So we're on the very last stretch now. Now I did do a little juggle around when I put my title up here. I felt it was nice to bring this piece that was sitting over here across. And because of that, I felt there needed to be something little over here. So I went through my stash and I found a little pocket card that actually had a lovely heart on the back, so I was a bit disappointed to cut that up, but thankfully there are two in the pack. Just seeing if I could find it quickly for you. But anyway, I had this other one that I could therefore cut out. Oh, here it is. Here it is. It says family time, but I cut out this part of it and I'm popping that in there. Of course it says thank you, which doesn't really work for my layout, but that's okay. We're just tucking it in behind this green piece and you're none the wiser. But before I adhere those last two things, I just thought I might do a little bit of splattering, and I'm going to pull in this little stamp here from the Irresistible Blooms set that was out last year, only purely because I want to have a controlled spot to put my splatters, given that everything else is already adhered. Otherwise I could have just got my black journaling pen and done some flicking and that would have worked just as good. So I'm going to grab my Memento Black and we are just going to ink up this stamp. And I'm just going to do a little bit of splattering in this background piece here. And you can see it just gives a little bit of interest. I'm going to have it coming through into here as well, so it's coming on both sides. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing over here behind this. So we might just have a little bit coming up the top there and out. Let me just see if that's enough. Maybe a little bit up there too, so it didn't look a bit lopsided. Yeah, that looks fine. Now, if I needed to, I could have done a bit of splattering in behind one of these down below as well, but with my journaling taking up all that space, I don't really feel there's a need for that. So we will just leave it at this. Maybe actually, no, I don't think I need any more. I'm going to leave it. Right, so all I have to do now is adhere those last few bits and bobs. So I'm just going to pull in a few dimensionals behind here, just so that this little piece stands up. I know I'm tucking it behind my paper, but I just like the shadow it was creating by being raised up where the leaf part is, so that's going to work in our favour. So I'll just pop that on. That should be enough adherence just to keep it all in place behind my page protector. So we'll pop that one down in here, tuck away those words thank you so we can't see them anymore. And that there just gives a little bit of a shadow. Now I did just plop that on. Let's just make it nice and straight. It is a little sticker as well from our sticker pack in the pocket Memory and More cards. Just this little piece down here. And then over here I'm going to do the same. I'm going to raise it just a little piece. So I'll just pop some on the back of this one first. These Memory and More cards are so good for giving you all those little extra embellishments. It's just helped me decorate this without actually even having to go to the bundle, the Stamp and the Die Cut set this time. And they're actually better sized, given that we're using the paper that's got the smaller, finer floral. It's actually better sized to be using these smaller embellishments as well, so smaller sized flowers and things. So I'll pop that one in there, and then we're just going to tuck this one behind. This one actually can be at the level, so I'll just pop a little bit of adhesive on there because I've taken the sticky off while I was positioning them all. And then we're going to pop this one along the top. So because it's going along the top now, I'm going to have to put a dimensional at each end because that bit's going to be raised. So pop those dimensionals and then just a tiny little bit of tape in the center to make sure it sticks. And then I just have a little flower too that I had grabbed, which we'll just make that nice and neat. There we go, that looks good. And then I just have that little flower, where's it gone? This one here, which I think we could even slightly adhere up further. So I'll just put a few dimensionals on this side for that. In fact, I'll do 3 to make it secure. So the last thing, guys, what is it that I always like to finish off with when we've got to this point? Do you know what I'm going to pull out last? In the set of this paper range and these Memories and More cards, there is the low profile dots. So these have got the lovely pinky shades which come through from those, and they've got the goldy shades. So I could go either way. I'm thinking I might stick to the gold though, so I'm just going to pull a few of these, and they are just beautiful. Beautiful pieces. They add such a nice little element of shine in there. So I'm just going to put a couple here and there. All up I'll do an odd number, and where it's important, like the title, I could possibly do 3. I might just bring this one down here into that area, and then we've got a few up there, so I'm just thinking we might just want to bring a couple down here as well. Maybe we'll do a couple like that. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we are at an odd number, and I could do another couple over there if I felt it needed it, but I actually don't think it does. I think it's pretty balanced. So there you go. There we have it. Our first 3 days of the trip have been documented, and all those fun memories of Singapore have been captured to share with others. I hope you enjoyed seeing this all come together. I really thoroughly enjoyed putting this together. Do love these arches. Aren't they a neat feature, design feature for your pages? Keep in touch, keep a lookout for the next week's installment. I may not quite go in order because I do have something in mind for Bangkok, which will be paper you can't yet see. So you might just have to hold out on that one. So we might skip Bangkok and go straight into Cambodia next. So next week, I look forward to sharing with you some memories from our time in Cambodia.